Make her feel welcome. Okay, whenever you're ready, you may go ahead.
For God so loved the world. Love, that's the topic of today's speech. Today we will learn how being kind and loving your neighbor pleases God and also feels really good because it's the right thing to do. Love does no harm to a neighbor, therefore love is the fulfillment of the law. What the heck does that mean? Well, anyway, I'll give you some background on that first. Paul wrote the book of Romans to the people living in Rome. Makes sense. While he wrote this, the Christians in Rome were being persecuted at the time, and he was basically giving them hope that they would survive all of this and that their faith would remain strong and everything would be okay. And Paul was in Corinth when he wrote that. So I have a parable that goes along with the idea of love, and it's the Good Samaritan. But instead of the Good Samaritan, it's the Good Seniority. That way everyone will get it. So along comes the sad little freshman, and he's walking along, and then a junior comes up and beats him up. And everyone passes by, except for the Good Seniority. He picks him up, and he saves the sad little freshman, and sends him on his way. So, do you get it? Just loving your neighbor. I have some cross references on the idea of love. Love is patient and kind. Love does not envy or boast. It is not arrogant or rude. It does not insist on its own way. It is not irritable or resentful. It does not rejoice at wrongdoing, but rejoices with the truth. Love bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. Love never ends. As for prophecies, they will pass away. As for tongues, they will cease. As for knowledge, it will pass away. But love will always be there. And I have a video to show you about that verse. It's got nice cheesy music. I really don't want to play the whole thing, but you get it. If you replace every use of the word love in the verse I just read for you, you understand that God is patient with you, and He's kind to you, and He does not envy anything other than the gods you put before Him. You know we all do that. Another cross-reference I have for this idea of love is, husbands, love your wives as Christ loved the church and gave Himself up for her. And basically, what I'm trying to get at is that God sacrificed Himself for us, His church, so sacrifice yourself for your spouse, if need be. 1 John says, anyone who does not love does not know God, because God is love. Everything comes back to love, because God is love, God is kind, He does not envy. How can you apply the idea of love to real life? Well, as I've said about a gazillion times now, to love your neighbor is to follow God's command because He tells us to love your neighbor because it is the fulfilling of His law. And I mean, if you're not a Christian and you don't believe in God, you might as well be nice to everyone and love your neighbor because it feels a lot better than, say, hating people or why did I choose a verse on love? Well, I'm not a very loving person at all, and I feel like none of us are, because there are times when people make us mad, and we think, oh, I just want to punch them, or you don't think very highly of them, and you don't love your neighbor love every day. But the great thing is that God forgives you anyway. Love does no wrong to a neighbor, therefore loving is the fulfilling of the law. Now you understand the importance of loving your neighbor. So go and do as God has commanded you and love your neighbor.
Thank you very much. Let's give her a round of applause. Thank you, Julianne. And